Growing up, whitewashed. I'm a British third-generation Indian immigrant, and to be honest, I've always grown up a little bit embarrassed by my Indian culture.
So I saw this video, the one at the beginning the other day, and it kind of made me think about my childhood growing up whitewashed. And another reason I was thinking about it is because I was fake tanning my face. The reason I do this is because I am super pale now. Not that that's a bad thing, but I used to be a lot darker. And it made me think again about my childhood and how me and my sister would go, when we went to India, we'd buy like these bottles of cream that had skin lightening, skin bleaching in it to try and not stand out. Now all these like trends are coming back where fit tan came in, and like as I was growing up, people were fit tanning more, they were trying to be darker, they were darker contouring, and it made me frustrated because for so many years I'd tried to lighten my skin to not stand out, and now everybody wants to be dark, which was frustrating. I've damaged my skin by doing so. I then further damaged my skin by every time I went on a holiday tanning as much as I did to try and prove that I am naturally dark, so that even when I go to my family in India or I see my Indian family in the UK, I don't stand out. So either way I can't win. Another thing growing up whitewashed was, again, I think he touches on it, like being embarrassed about foods. I disassociated from my culture growing up because I was made to feel embarrassed by it. I was made to feel embarrassed by being surrounded by racist people, growing up in a mostly white area where we had no coloured people at school. It was just myself and my sister, and like the stigma that was attached to that. If we brought in any Indian food, it stunk, like we were curry munchers. Like, even going back to like racial language, the first time I ever heard the P word was maybe year 2 or year 3, bearing in mind how young we are then, we're like 6, 7, and I suppose with teachers they probably thought, oh, these kids have heard it from their parents, which is bizarre that the parents are saying that word anyway. But instead of using that as a teaching opportunity to teach the kids, no, that's a wrong word, you can't use that, you can't call people that, they allowed it. And they were like, oh, they're young, they've come from a background where the parents don't talk to them as much or teach them as well, so instead of teaching the kids, they allowed this behaviour to continue. My experience was I was really badly bullied, and mum and dad took the school to court. I had to move schools. Another thing growing up whitewashed was being so like unaware of my colour. Even now with like makeup, I don't know what foundation colour I am. When I go into the shops, everyone matches me so drastically different. I either come out bright orange or really, really pale. And another memory I have about like, I suppose, being whitewashed was we were doing self-portraits in primary school, and one of the supply teachers snatched the brown pencil out of my hand. She was like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm drawing my skin. And she was like, that's not a skin colour. I was in year 3 when this happened, and that was like a significant moment that stood with me. So then anytime I drew myself in future in art, it was always with a light peach skin colour, which is what she gave me. She said that brown wasn't a skin colour, apparently. She was another enabler of horrible racial language. We have a running joke in the family that I like didn't pay attention, I didn't care about anything to do with like India or that side when I was younger, but it's because I was so badly bullied that I had to disassociate from it to like not be in pain. Like my friends using the P word constantly, laughing about it, like the P shop, or people constantly making racist jokes. And then that racism manifested into me feeling it for other people. So when in 2020, when all the George Floyd stuff happened, as many people would, what happened was horrific. And the black community have obviously faced an insane amount of racism from a lot of people. I really felt it. Like, I got so depressed and wanted to do anything I could to try and make people understand that the black community have faced so much racism. Then I get frustrated in myself because the South Asian community faces so much racism. Through any terrorist attack, we were called terrorists, we were labelled evil, we always get subjected to stop and searches in the airports. If anyone mentioned the word terrorist at school, I was the first one to be looked at. We've had so much like racial attacks, like, and it made me think about how all of that made me disassociate from my culture growing up. And it wasn't until I got to uni where I made friends who were also Indian and also South Asian that I started to appreciate it more. And it made me really sad because my mom is a second generation Indian. She grew up in India, moved here at the age of 25, which is wild. I could never imagine myself doing that. Like, she had, back in the day, there weren't mobile phones. She had no one. She only knew my dad and his family, obviously, and moved here by herself, made a whole career, worked every single day of her life, and started a fresh life so she could have a good life for me and my sister. And it makes me really sad to think that all of her hard work was kind of ruined because I couldn't appreciate anything that she'd come from. And like, now I'm really relieved that I've grown up in, like, I've moved to more cultural areas. Like, I live in London now. I've I've met loads of people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and actually taken an interest in my culture. Don't know if anyone else had this experience or felt like this, but being whitewashed really made me upset because I feel like I undid all the hard work my mum and dad did to bring themselves over here, work so hard and be proud of who they are. And I wish I had took an interest in my Indian culture sooner. And if you are feeling like that, please don't feel embarrassed. The amount of cultures in the UK is what makes the UK. Like, there are so many of us here, and that's what makes it strong. Never feel embarrassed about who you are, because that's your superpower.